If you're wanting to cover all three champion types within your build without even needing a specific weapon mod, well, check out this Prismatic Second Chance Titan build that I've created. It's awesome that you're able to, take on any champion with an endgame content while also just having insane uptime on all your abilities. But before I get into the video, know you can follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Give a thumbs up on this video. Let me know something you're interested in seeing down below, whether it's Hunter, Titan, or Warlock. Subscribe, become a member. Check out the dim link in the description, and also check out my page over on maxroll.gg. I am contributing over there, giving a bunch of different builds, as well as some other creators in the community. Now, let's jump right into the setup. Now, we always like to start off with the exotic for the setup, and that's going to be the Second Chance exotic arms. These were introduced back in Season of the Haunted, and they read My Drum's Reach. Gain a second charge of your shield throw melee. Your second shield throw now weakens targets and becomes shield piercing, stunning barrier champions. When you stun a barrier champion with your shield throw melee, you regain that melee charge. Now, this is one that's just been updated over time a couple different times, and I feel like it's in such a sweet spot, especially with how Prismatic has been set up. I feel like within just like the regular Void class, it does really well, but it shines even more within Prismatic because, again, we do have that availability of that shield throw within it. You're able to take on those barrier champions, which is really nice. This is really close to that new strand chest piece that was added in the final shape for Warlock, where they're able to take on barrier champions with just using their powered melee. It's the same exact thing. Just like the biggest thing that I like with this is the fact that it weakens targets, so we have the access to, damage debuffs on targets. Now let's talk about the Prismatic subclass for this, and we're going to start off with our super, and that's going to be Twilight Arsenal. It is absolutely the best super out of the 5 that is offered here. It offers great weakening against targets, it offers great damage, and you're also able to pick up those void axes and keep on using them for just some extra damage against bosses, just adds anything like that. Your teammates are able to pick it up. It's just a really awesome super. For our abilities, first up, we do need to pick up Rally Barricade. Big reason for this is one of the aspects we're going to be using. Now, the thruster, if you're somebody who's just like, I have to use thruster, you can also use it with the aspect we're going to talk about here in a second, but I'll explain the kind of caveat there. For our melee, obviously we need to use that shield throw to work with the, second chance shield throwing exotic. Just quick highlight here, a big thing that I like about this is the fact that, again, it's going to offer us that extra overshield whenever it hits targets, just meaning that we're able to just easily get some damage reduction from a distance. For our grenade, we're going to be using Pulse Grenade. Big reason why I like this is just the fact that with a combination of one of our fragments, we're going to be able to take advantage of jolting, which is really nice for just in general, just damage, and also going against overload champions. Aspects, first up, we're going to use Knockout. Now, this is honestly kind of like a pseudo, sit back build while also being able to take advantage of going up front and punching people. But just one of the biggest things I want to add for this is the fact that with the second chance shield, you're able to throw it and it hits a target, and that is going to make you amplify just like it would be normal when using, just your regular punching melee. So it's a big reason why I like this. Now you're able to just get that amplification from a distance and not really have to just always be in the thick of it. And also we're going to be using Dranger's Lash. Now I was mentioning before using the Rally Barricade to create that ripple of reality that's going to suspend targets. Obviously you can also use the thruster, but what this is going to do instead is just create a knot that's just going to be in whatever the spot you use your thruster at. So you don't really take advantage of the distance that using the Rally Barricade does. And a big reason why I also like is just the fact that you can sit behind it and take advantage of just all the different buffs that the Rally Barricade is going to give you. For our fragments, first up, Facet of Protection, always a big one that you should always have on any of your Prismatic builds because of just the good damage reduction it adds to you while you're in the thick of it. Next up is Facet of Blessing. Melee final blows start health regeneration. Now this is obviously really solid for the fact that you can just use your regular knockout punch to do this, but also you can take advantage of just doing that shield throw. It will also get you that melee final blow, which is not only going to give you an overshield, but it's also going to start that health regeneration for you. Facet of Dominance, your arc grenade is going to now jolt targets. Again, big reason why I like this is the fact that we're able to take advantage of overloads and just kind of adding on to the fact that we have all of these champion breaking stunning abilities just baked into the class itself. Faceted Grace, defeating targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus transcendence energy. Big reason why I like this is the main weapon we're going to be using for this setup is going to be a kinetic weapon, so we're able to just kind of like not even have to like use our, you know, light or dark abilities in any certain way to get our transcendence bar up. It's just going to naturally just, you know, doing damage is going to do that. And finally, Faceted Balance, rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy, and rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy. Obviously, this is great for the fact that this is a melee focused build, so we're able to constantly just keep up that energy with it. Now, I will say this is a bit of kind of like a semi flex spot. You can kind of put anything here that you want, but the big thing I would say that would make the most sense would be like Faceted Dawn. For being able to just get that free radiant off of our powered melee hits. Now let's talk about the weapon we're going to be using for this setup, and that's going to be the Monte Carlo. Again, I mentioned we needed to use a kinetic weapon and take advantage of Faceted Grace, but also Monte Carlo is great for the fact that it really helps feeding into that melee energy that we have with the Monte Carlo method. Dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully recharge your melee ability with each kill. Obviously, this is just great for just constantly being able to chuck more and more shields, constantly weakening targets, and just getting us that extra damage against them. For your other weapons, kind of just go with what you want. Obviously, Indebted Kindness is a phenomenal option right now for the fact that, you know, just rocket sidearms are just like goated. But also for your heavy, I really recommend the Edge Transit, or just, you know, a void weapon in general, for the fact that whenever we're going to talk about our artifact here in a second, having that weakening against targets is really big for the fact that it's just going to do a lot more damage, even more damage with something like the Edge Transit. Now, when it comes to the mods and armor you're going to be using for this setup, first up on your helmet, obviously something like Hands On is great for getting your super back really fast. I've been able to get like 3+, you know, supers available to me every single time I do just like 5 minutes in a Legend Lost sector. So obviously really solid. Kinetic Siphon, we're using that Monte Carlo a lot. It's great to just constantly generate those orbs for ourselves. And also a heavy ammo finder so that I'm able to use that Edge Transit more often. On our gloves, I've been using a double heavy-handed, so I only have a 5-second cooldown in between my powered melee final blows to generate those orbs, and also an impact induction just so that whenever I use my power melee against targets, I'm going to be getting some grenade cooldown. Chest piece, just recommend just getting resistance mods that you see fit across the board. On my legs, an Absolution, obviously just to get, you know, some in general ability energy across the board, recuperation for health, and then innervation so that I'm getting some extra grenade energy. And then finally on our class mark, obviously Bomber is great just so that I'm able to get that grenade back. Again, if you're like, well, Bird, you're using this like mainly melee setup, like why aren't you doing more like melee energy? Well, using the Monte Carlo, I'm getting that back insanely fast, so I'm more just kind of focusing on like making sure I have my grenade available to me at any time I want. Reaper as well, just so that I'm able to, you know, get an orb power whenever I use that barricade and then get a kill. And then Powerful Attraction to pull in all those orbs around me. Now, when it comes to the artifact, we're mainly focusing on columns 4 and 5. First up, Void Hegemony. While you have Void or Prismatic subclass equipped, defeating weakened targets provides a small overshield. Obviously, just chucking that you know, shield throw and weakening targets with it and taking them down is going to give us that shield plus a little bit more on the top. Radiant Orbs, so that whenever we pick up that orb power, become radiant. And then Galvanic Armor, so that while we are surrounded and have a bunch of people around us, while amplified, we have some damage reduction, adding some more on top of that faceted protection. And then finally, in the 5th column, Expanding Abyss, again, was mentioning with like Edge Transit, with using the weakening effects with like Second Chance on targets. Void Sources deal increased damage to weakened targets. Obviously, Edge Transit will absolutely just melt everybody. And then finally, Shield Crush. While we have an overshield, our melee recharges faster and deals increased damage. And then while we're amplified or radiant, which is all time, our grenade recharges faster and deals increased damage. Real quick, going down the list of the champions and how we're able to, you know, take each of these on. First up, for Barrier, we have availability of radiant effects to us, so that's obviously great. But obviously just chucking that shield throw at their bubbles is going to take care of that for us. Unstoppable, we have ability to suspend targets with our class ability, or obviously just using, you know, something like Indebted Kindness, Rocket Sidearm this season. You're able to handle them. And then in regards to Overload, we're able to do that with our grenade, with the jolting effect that is on the pulse grenade. So that's obviously super solid. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you guys really enjoy it. Again, let me know something you're interested in seeing down below so that I'm able to just, you know, keep churning out some fun builds using pretty much anything that you're interested in seeing. Give a like on the video, helps us out in the algorithm. Subscribe, become a member, and follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you have a great night, day, whatever it may be.